Hello and welcome live to Var Nation. I'm your host, Rock Var, and it is a Monday night, guys. First Monday after my vacation, so today was back to work. I'm definitely feeling the grind, so to speak. And so tonight we're going to take a look at my quantum controlling loadout and rotation, if you will. I don't know if you call it a rotation when you're playing a role. But we're going to do that, and we're going to hit up some low-level missions as a quantum controller, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm using and exactly what I'm spec'd into and all that good stuff. But first, I thought I'd take a couple minutes and take a look at this week's free gift that DCUO gave us. What you're seeing right here beside me, and forgive me, I'm actually getting my son a bottle here while I'm talking about this, but what you're seeing right beside me right now is a base item that DC Universe Online gave us today for free to all players. It is the Aquaman bust. It is based off the Jim Lee Aquaman bust that has come out in real life for collectors, and DC Universe Online made a base item out of it. They hooked us up. Everybody gets it. It's free. It is tradable with your characters. It's not tradable to other tunes, but it is account bound. And man, it is beautiful. That is, yeah, I can only hope that they keep doing this with other characters as well, because I would love to see a Superman, Batman. I'd love to see the entire Justice League done like that. And I know DC Comics will probably put that out if they haven't already. But man, I mean, and you can't get any more detailed than this. I mean, look at that. Look at if I could get to it without it fading out on me. That's what I hate about, if I get behind it, you can't really see it. But look at the armor that he's wearing. I mean, that is some detailed stuff. This is the version of Aquaman that I was talking about on the stream the other day. This is if I have to pick a favorite version of Aquaman, this is him. I mean, look at that trident. And even in the back of it is just as detailed. I mean, that is phenomenal. The thing is huge. And the way that you get it, if you haven't got yours yet, you go to the marketplace, you open the marketplace, you click on Redeem Claim, and it'll be at the top of the list, and it's going to give you basically like a box. And when you open it, it's going to have two base items in it. This one that you're looking at right here, and then this smaller version that's like on a stand. This is actually a wall mount, and you're going to get this as well. Talk about hooking us up, man. I mean, I was speechless when I saw this thing. This is, in my opinion, the most awesome base item that we've gotten thus far, and we've gotten a lot of cool things from DC Universe Online over the years. It's like every time they give us something, or every time they come out with a new thing, they just raise the bar that much more. I can only imagine the art team putting this together, like how excited they were to be able to launch this. And bravo. I mean, bravo to the devs, bravo to the designer team, the art team. Thank you to Jim Lee for, doing this thing in real life and giving them the inspiration. The other cool part about this is they are giving away a real one that you can actually get in real life. You've got to follow DC Universe Online on Twitter, at DCUO on Twitter, and sometime this week they're going to tweet out the details as to what you need to do to get yourself in the running to win a real one. But I want it so bad. We now, we were huge collectors, Lyda and myself, back in the day. Before we started playing DCUO, actually. It's kind of a long story, but we had a house filled with DC Comics, action figures, posters, and to the point where that was all you could see. I mean, it was, literally shelves full, walls full of action figures in boxes, posters. Our house looked like a comic book store. And we moved. I got a job and we moved out of state. We bought a house because back then we rented, and we bought a house in West Virginia, and we bought a cabin. So we took all of our stuff, all of our collectibles that we had at the time that was completely filling up our 2-bedroom, 4-room apartment. We took it all with us to the new house. We decorated there just as we had here, or just as we had in the apartment. The place just looked like a comic book store. All of our beautiful action figures displayed, posters on the walls. It was the kind of thing, like, we used to joke that if you were a villain and you walked into our house, you would be scared because the Justice League was everywhere. I mean, you want to talk about Justice League Unlimited. We had every action figure you could possibly name. I mean, we had our local comic book store. Our pull list included action figures. So every time a figure line came out with the comics, we got the comics and the figures, and they shipped them to us at no cost because we were such good customers. We just would buy them. And so we had a house full, and it was a beautiful thing. And, West Virginia really screwed us over. Basically, what we didn't expect was living in a cabin in the woods, that everything that we owned would get ruined. We came home one day from work, and the roof around the edges of this cabin had leaked. And it wasn't a case of where it was like raining and the roof had leaked. It had just, the winter there, we had gotten so much snow that our roof was encased in ice, and it had stayed that way for the entire winter. And so as soon as stuff started to melt, it was draining in weird positions. So the roof was fine. It's just that the ice that had been caked up onto it, when it started melting, water started going between shingles and in weird places. And so we came home, and it was literally like a waterfall inside of our house along all of the walls. Everything we owned got water damaged. And it was, as far as our figures and posters and all that were lining the walls of our house. And there was not a wall that did not have something on it. Every inch of that cabin was covered with collectibles. And so that wasn't the only time things like that happened when we lived there. We had things like a fireplace that the first time we started a fire in it, blew ash and soot all over everything. And so moving there, basically, by the time we lived there for probably about 10 years. We bought that house and we lived in it for probably about 10 years. And by the time we left, we had nothing up, no decorations, because we knew that anything that we got and put up was going to get ruined. The other thing that happened was we had a new roof put on the house at some point. And so when the roofers came to put on the new roof, they took off the old roof, all plywood and all, because we were having everything redone. And so they took off the old roof, and then it stormed. So literally a thunderstorm was happening with no roof on our house. And so then again, everything that we had replaced ruined. And so now, thank God, we are living in a place, we rent again. Screw all that homeowner bullshit. We rent again. We live in a house that has a solid roof, solid walls. It is not a cabin. It is not made out of wood. And I love blocks, bricks, concrete. And so we're going to start decorating and collecting again. And so I would really love to have this Aquaman bust or something similar to it in real life. So I'm going to be paying attention to when DCUO puts out that they're doing that giveaway, and try to get involved in that. You should too. Again, subscribe on Twitter to @DCUO. Follow them. They're going to put out this week at some point what you've got to do to win the bust behind me in real life. And we'll try to keep you guys as informed as we can. But this is this week's member gift. These two, this bust right here and this little one. It's not a member gift. I said that wrong. It's just a gift for everyone. Everyone who plays DC Universe Online gets this. So if you haven't checked it out, or if you feel like you've been left out, there's not going to be any notice in the game. You have to go to the marketplace up at the very top. Maybe we can do this. Go to the marketplace if it'll open. Hopefully it doesn't crash my stream. If it does, we'll start over again. Go up to the top where it says redeem claims. See, I've highlighted that. Click on that, and it should be at the top of the list. You'll just accept it. And once you do that, you're going to get a base item pack, essentially, that you'll open. And it's going to have this Aquaman, this huge Aquaman bust, and it's going to have this smaller wall decoration as well. And awesome. So anyway, hey Twin Ace, what's going on, buddy? He says he only collects Flash items. Well, that's cool. I have quite a few Flash items myself. In fact, everything right now that we do is everything we've got is upstairs in boxes in the attic, or not the attic. We have two bedrooms upstairs, but we just don't use them. They're for storage right now. And all of our action figure stuff is up there. We're getting ready to bring it all down, and I'll probably take some pictures once I get decorated in here and put it up on Twitter so you guys can see what we do. And we, being back where we are now, we go to the Columbus Comic-Con every year, WizardCon, and we go to Columbus has a thing at the convention center every year called the Columbus Toy Fair. And it is basically a Comic-Con for toys. You go in there, there's a ridiculous amount of booths set up with every kind of, old He-Man toys, Ghostbusters, any kind of toy that you can possibly think of. There will be vendors there selling them, and we normally would go up to that every year too and just fill our car with stuff and bring it back home. And now, because of Bodie, I have even more of an excuse, because eventually all this stuff's going to be his. So Light is already automatically on board when I'm like, I want this, I want that, I want this. And she's like, oh, because it's going to be Bodhi's someday. And I'm like, yeah, that's why. Let's bring it home and decorate with it. And it is. It's all going to be his anyway. So, it's all good. But anyway, I'm going to switch over right now to Troy Grayson, who is my quantum controller. And we're going to do some controlling, because I spent a good amount of time this evening going through the quantum power set, taking a look at the changes that have been made there, and kind of deciding on what I would use as a quantum controller. I went into a mission. I think I did Outer Caverns earlier this evening, and it was pretty darn cool. Not gonna lie, especially for this guy being such a low level toon. I was pretty impressed with, not myself, but I was just pretty impressed with the power set. I'm digging it. The only complaint that I have now about the way things are happening when you're leveling up Omega Beast, what's up, buddy, is, so I have a toon that I've modeled after Vibe, from the comics, but also the Flash TV show, and I liked having quantum with him because he could do the quantum tunneling, and it was something that Vibe actually does on the show. Casper, what's up, buddy? We are getting ready to do some quantum controlling with Troy Grayson and show off the power set. So anyway, now all of a sudden he can't have that power because he's not a high enough level. It's one of those things where you have to be a level 26, I think, to get that power, and he's only a level 12. And so I was kind of bummed about that. It was a power I had the day before the stat revamp, and then the day after I don't have it anymore. And they also changed the look of how quantum tunneling works. You used to just basically open the tunnel, go through to the other side. Now you have this aura on you afterwards, which is kind of cool, and there's a reason for it. I'll explain what it is. But let's get out of here. We're in Little Bow. Do I have any money or materials / auras for sale? No, I don't have anything. I haven't been collecting ores and stuff like that for a while. I'm kind of behind on that. So yeah, my inventory is pretty much what I've already collected. I don't have any extra stuff at this point. So so quantum controlling, here's what it is. Oh, your HDMI broke? I'm sorry, man, that sucks. For me, that'd be like somebody plucking out my eyeballs, only without the pain. Sorry, dude. So let's check it out. So as a quantum controller, I put my stat points in hybrid focus. I filled up my critical power chance. I filled up my critical power magnitude. I put as much as I could in VIT, because VIT is going to determine the amount of power you give out. And I put a little bit in dominance, because basically when it's yeah. Oh, he's Omega B said it's like $7 for a new one, which is true. Casper's a young kid, so I don't think he has that kind of money. No problem, buddy. You do what you got. You got to take care of mom. You got to do it. Be there for your mother, son. She will always be there for you. So yeah, so I got a little bit of dominance, and that's all the skill points. I only have 95 skill points with this tune, so I couldn't do a whole heck of a lot with it, but that's pretty much the gist of where you want to be with stuff. You make sure you get some dominance, because that's when you're doing your crowd control effects. That's what's supporting that. Your VID is directly proportional to, and this is only for controllers, but VID is directly proportional to the amount of power you're giving when you give your instant power and when your power over time is happening. For everybody else, you only worry about power. You don't worry about VID anymore. VID is just a controller thing now. And then, of course, your crits. You always want your crits first. Now, what I would like to do in a perfect world is go back and add as much VIT. I'd like to fill that up, and I'd like to at least halfway fill up the dominance. I don't think I would need the full 175 for a controller. That would be more of a tank thing to do, I would think. Now again, that's just me, and then you'll see when I play how much you want to listen to what I'm saying. You might watch me and be like, God, you're the worst controller I've ever seen in my life. I'm not listening to a thing you say. Or you might watch it and say, hey, you're heading the right direction. I'm not by any way, shape, or form going to tell you that I'm a controlling expert. I do like controlling. I've been doing it for a little while, but definitely not a master of it. So, iconic powers, I got none. Flight, I got just my super speed flight. Weapons, I went ahead and did dual wield mastery, and I did bow mastery, because I wanted to be able to do this explosive shot mastery only for the purpose of building back power. I'm not trying to do damage with this at all. I'm only trying to build back power using my weapon attacks. I'm thinking that the explosive shot mastery is a pretty good way to do that. You may be able to build power up just as fast by doing some of these other like ultra flurry or any of these other types of things, but old habits die hard. I'm used to using weapon mastery for that, so that's what I did. So got the explosive shot mastery. What I like about it, and what I may start using dual wield for with some other tunes, is that I can see how this would be very effective for a DPS, because it's just a hold. It's just a 2-hold combo, and you get to pull it off, as opposed to some of the other stuff. So, Omega B says I keep $50 or so just in case if I break my controller. if I'm about to kill a boss or on a 53 kill stream and it's ended. I got you, man. For some reason I hate the fact that the entire message doesn't come up for me at one time, but I get your drift. Yeah, you got to. I had to replace a controller not long ago too, and so I know what that's all about. It's it can make or break your moment. And I don't know what I would do. Like right now I've got my controller, my headset, and my wireless keyboard. And without any one of those things, I'm screwed. And even my wireless keyboard breaks, which I did to my last one because I stepped on it like an idiot. It hinders me from playing the game. As stupid as that is, because I don't need a keyboard to play the game. I've got the controller. I can even, message using a controller, but just the fact that I don't have my little ultimate setup here ruins my experience, and I've got to go out and buy another controller. So or keyboard. I know what you're going through, man. It's a very good idea to budget if you can do that. Save some money back. I've never been good at that. So my loadout, and I'll walk you guys through the basics of what I use here. Now this is cool because no longer do we need to waste a slot here in our inventory or in our build with a power over time. And I didn't even think about that until I started doing this build. Normally, one of these slots would have to be taken by your POT. Now, any power you hit is going to trigger POT, so you don't have to. You can. And what I've been doing is just starting with my debuffs. What's up, Lizard Man? Thank you for joining the stream, buddy. So I start normally with my controller debuffs. Time shift is a good one. This is, and basically and I'll read you the description, and I'll tell you why I use it. And it says, after the flow of time, alter the flow of time, damaging your target and nearby enemies. Now, I am not giving two shits about doing damage as a controller. I'm not a battle troll. I don't worry about that. I let the DPS do the damage. I focus on giving power and doing crowd control and debuffs. Mostly doing debuffs, because what I found as a troll is if I'm doing too much crowd control, I'm stepping on the tank's feet, and I don't want to do that either. I want the tank to tank how he wants or she wants. I don't want to be freezing things that he's trying to pull or she's trying to pull, because to me that's just obnoxious when I'm tanking. So I try to let the tank do most of the crowd control, but with this, what I'm mainly doing is reducing my enemy's defenses, and that is the little red shield that comes up on the enemy. And so basically when their defenses are down, that means the DPS, their damage does more damage. Their damage takes more health away from the boss. They can beat the boss faster or the ad faster, and that's what I'm going for. And if you've ever been a DPS and you've been running through a mission and you've been like, damn, I'm killing stuff fast in this thing, faster than I normally would, that's because you have a good troll, most likely. Not that you're not good at DPS, that's also the case, but your troll is probably reducing the enemy defenses. So that's the first thing I throw out, and that is, not only is it reducing the enemy defenses, it's also triggering my power over time and giving power to my group. The second thing that I want to do is, and I'm using Anomaly for this as a quantum controller, create an anomaly to trap your enemies in time, stunning them and damaging them over time while restoring supercharge. That's the key, the reason that I picked this particular debuff, because the debuff that I'm using is it reduces the target's ability to heal. And so if you've ever been in a mission where you're DPSing, all of a sudden the ad or the boss is gaining health, that's because they have a healing effect on themselves. They are in fact self-healing. You need your controller to throw this debuff on them to reduce their ability to heal, so that you can continue to DPS them and get their health down. And so a lot of people don't realize, they think the answer to that is to get more DPS. If you've got 3 DPS, you can burn them faster than they can heal. Well, that's idiotic. It's not idiotic. I mean, it makes sense in some kind of weird ass way, but the point is, if you had a controller, you wouldn't have to worry about that, because they would go ahead and reduce that target's ability to heal, and you would be DPSing much more smoothly, going through the mission much more smoothly, and you wouldn't need those multiple DPS groups. So we'll take a break for a second, because I got to catch my breath. Jeezy Pete's, that was a lot. Lizard Man, he says, hey Var, is Earth better as a DPS or tank? Please answer when you have time. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, DPS. It's killing it in DPS right now. Tank is okay. I played tank a little bit last night. I went ahead and did my tank build. Next stream, I'll probably do some earth tanking to show you what I'm using there. It's better than it was before the revamp, because some of the single target pulls are pulling multiple targets now. But in my opinion, if you're going to tank, the best thing and the easiest thing to use is atomic, or it was. I haven't tried it post revamp, so I'm not real sure. But in my opinion, atomic is like the foolproof tank power. So that before atomic came out, I would have said rage did that, because it had the multi-target pull. But atomic, and I saw somebody else's video on this one time, and they said basically you just teleport everything to your face, and you do. I mean, that's just you're grabbing things from what would seem like ridiculous distance and just pulling them straight up to you, and it makes it really easy. That said, though, if you do want to do some earth tanking, try it out. It is fun, and I will show that off a little bit next stream, which will be Wednesday night. So we'll do that a little bit. Thank you for helping me plan my next stream, because I'm normally never sure until about an hour before the stream what I'm going to do. So the first thing we do is time shift. That also triggers our power over time, reduces our enemy defenses. Then we're going to hit anomaly. That is going to reduce our target's ability to heal. You don't have to do that every time, but I do if I've got the power to do it, just because. But if you're kind of experienced at trolling, you've done the mission a few times, you know which targets are going to try to heal themselves and which ones aren't, you don't necessarily have to fool with that every time. This one's just, I would normally do the reducing the enemy defenses and just go with that till you get to a boss that you know is going to heal themselves. Or if you're like in Underworld Trials, some of the ads heal themselves, so you want to pay attention to that. So those two things, and then the next thing that I would hit is Warp Barrage. This is an open time warp and teleport destructive projectiles to damage your enemies. I'm not caring too much about the damaging part. What I care about is that it reduces the target's damage output, and that is very important, and I think it's something that a lot of people overlook, because if you've ever been in a mission and just felt like, man, I just feel invincible right now, like this boss is not hurting me like he should be, or these ads are not hurting me like they should be. Chances are you do have a good healer, but also your troll is probably using something along these lines, or a debuff to reduce the target's damage output, so they are not hurting you as much. They're not putting out as much damage, and so that is a very important one to have. So those three things, those three debuffs I like to use. What's up, Lewis Hunt? All the while you're doing your weapon attacks to gain back your own power, you're clipping in your instant power. I use this is the only one I think for quantum is temporal extortion. You bend space-time to your will, restoring power to your group's three most fatigued members. In control role, it increases weapon attack damage for you and 3 group members with the highest percentage for a short time. So if you're giving out instant power, you're giving instant power to the three group members with the lowest power, but also the 3 group members who have the highest power are getting a weapon attack buff. So that's very cool. I'm glad that they added that in there. And so you're doing that, and then I just keep, since I've got an open space now where I'm not having to use a power over time, I'm using quantum tunneling because I think it's awesome, and it has worked for me. It has saved my life and the lives of my group members over and over again, because not only am I able to teleport across the room and pick up someone that's fallen, as I'm doing it, I'm dropping aggro. So I'm not drawing attention to them as I'm trying to pick them up. Same thing can be said if I would happen to draw too much aggro from a boss, all of a sudden the boss turns around and starts targeting me. I can hit this, shoot to the other side of the room, also drop aggro, tank picks him back up, we all go back to doing what we do. So the description on this is phase to another reality and leap forward a short distance. Phasing breaks you out of control effects, prevents damage for a short time, and compels enemies to seek targets other than you. And so earlier when I was talking about they kind of changed the animation on this one, I believe that is why, because they're kind of showing the fact that you have a bit of a shield on after you do this. And so they show that by putting the actual animation on you now. Before, this wasn't there. You would teleport and you wouldn't have this ball of whatever you want to call that, quantum energy or whatever on you. So that's that. And I'm going to go ahead and queue up. No, I'm not going to join somebody's group. But I am going to go ahead and queue up, and this may actually take a minute because I found earlier today that at this level, people weren't doing anything. Like, it took me forever to get into the mission earlier that I was wanting to do. I did Enter Sanctum, and it was like forever and a day. Wayward Souls maybe won't take as long. People tend to do that, or they used to do that a lot. So maybe we'll get in there. But I will go ahead and queue up for a raid 2 just in case. We'll go ahead and queue up for gates, because I know at least I can give you an idea of what it looks like in case we're sitting here waiting in queue for forever. This tune is Troy Grayson. He is the son of, the idea of this tune is the reality of Donna Troy and Dick Grayson. And so that's why he has the power of quantum, because I assume that Donna Troy would pass that on to him. And he's taken up the mantle of Nightwing. Hey, look at that. We're going into gates already. And he's taken up the mantle of Nightwing, and he is the leader of the league, the one-man league, Titan Legacy. So the idea behind this league is that they would all be children of former Teen Titans, or Titans, as it were, in the comics recently, or as it was in the comics recently. Lizard Man asked me, where did I get my Fallen God style? It comes from Typhon's Underground, or not Underground, Typhon's Monster Invasion. It's the tier, I think it's tier 8 gear. Once you can go to, basically you'll go to the Amazon teleportation hub in the Watchtower, and you will go.
Thank the gods you made it. My magic lasso should awaken the colossal general and his army of colossals.
Well, it might help, but I don't like that. Lewis Hunt said it would probably help if you go to settings and make it where all roles can join instead of roles only. I leave it set to roles only on purpose, because I always want a tank, controller, healer, and DPS in the group. I don't like mismatched groups. So, I would probably queue faster, and for the sake of showing the controlling, it would probably get me in there quicker. I just leave it that way on purpose. I have Lewis is asking me how many tunes I have. I have 16 tunes. They are mostly all 150s and above. But I do have, I'll show the one level 12, because I just made him not long ago. I wanted to get my vibe character out there, so, and it helps with these guys if I do the debuff. I'll do both of them. Some of them it freezes up. And that way we've got a 153 and a 198 in here, so we should pretty much walk through this with the 198 DPS. The question in here, though, is will we all work at the same thing at the same time? A lot of times this takes forever because groups spread out, but it looks like everybody here is kind of doing what they need to do to get it done. Lewis Hunt asks, am I excited for Water Powers? I am very excited for Water Powers. I am definitely going to be adding. It's kind of cool you asked me how many tunes I have, because I'm actually getting ready to buy an additional character slot just for water powers, because I want to make a Tempest character to be able to use water power. So there I go. I've got, oh, we've got a 196 in here too. So there we go. I've got to level a tune. I've got to use my replay badges to purchase a bunch of skill points, because I'm not going to take the time to go through and do that manually. I'm just going to use replay badges, which I'm saving up, or will be saving up. I just got done using them on another tune. And freeze. Quantum tunneling, just because I want to. I have no good. This is such a, like, when we get to a boss, it'll make more sense what I'm doing. But right now it's just kind of a free for all. I'm just doing stuff while I talk, trying to give as much power as I can. I have no hope at giving power to these 196s and 198s with 70 some skill points, or 90. I guess I have 90 some, but I'm only a CR 77, so I don't have much of a chance of actually doing any good trolling. Yeah, that is true. Can definitely be hard solo. People seem to expect a lot from trolls. It's one thing I try to stress when I'm not a controller, which is quite often really. Be nice to the trolls, because everything's not their fault. Sometimes it's, you know, they only have the ability to give you so much power. So if you're burning through power and they can't keep up, it's not their fault. And I know, if Lewis can probably attest to this, if you've been controlling for quite some time, there's a pretty bad stigma. I don't know if it's a stigma, maybe I shouldn't use that word, but people tend to get down on the troll real fast, and everything becomes the troll's fault, and that's not cool, because, you know, trolls are people too. Lizardman says, is Gadget's good at DPS? I think so. At least I enjoyed using it. I haven't done it with a tune that has enough SP to tell you if it's like OP or anything, but it definitely is. Definitely is fun. I think they're actually trying to do this without doing what I just did. Seems like the DPS is going to. So let's just try and help them do that. Throw my debuffs out there. See, he's still kind of healing himself because my shit's not that strong. But the DPS in here are strong enough, I think, to power through it, which is what they're going to do. Boom. And they did. They didn't need anything, and I think they probably did that to... I don't know if there's a feat for doing that or not. I need marks.
Sissy and I will fly ahead and engage their main force. You must guide the colossal archers to the battle.
Lewis says, thank you. Somebody who understands trolling. They have a lot of stress. People don't realize that they got to keep up 8 people. Yeah, it's impossible. I mean, you can... well, I mean, I shouldn't say it's impossible, but you can see how difficult it is just by watching. I'm constantly doing stuff. I'm not able to just chill like a DPS, or, you know, I'm not saying that healers can chill or tanks can chill, but if I don't keep some standard of power in here, these guys are going to turn on me. It will happen. My wife is a controller. She does mental trolling, and I mean, she got to the point where she didn't want to troll anymore. She just decided she would rather DPS, even if she's not the greatest at doing it, because it was so stressful for us to go into a raid together or go into a 4-player mission together and people to jump on her case about trolling, and when it was something that was completely out of her hands, and you're like, well, dude, you know, stop spamming your freaking powers and you won't have a problem with it. Learn to conserve your power a little bit and you're not going to have an issue. And people are like, the troll sucks, and they try to kick her out, and then I would leave because I'm like, I'm not staying in here with you guys when you just kicked my wife out of the mission, or, you know, ran her out of the mission. So yeah. Have I watched? I have not. So Lizardman asked me if I watched iEddy Gaming Gadgets DPS loadout. I have not watched his.
Circe and I will engage the flying swarmers.
I watched Codextra Performance, I want to say. I don't know if they're the same or not, but I'll have to go check that out, because I know iEddy Gaming normally does good stuff too. So now this is where my crowd control stuff comes into play a little bit more, because I want to keep these ads from getting back to this side of the room. So I'm going to go ahead and start just freezing them in place and let the DPS have at it. We don't even have a tank in here, so it's okay for me to do that. I'm not pissing the tank off by using this. In the weapon attacks, I'm just doing whatever it takes to keep some power up, so I'm not trying to really do anything special. I just want to make sure that I have enough power to keep trying to give these guys power. So if that means just tapping Y as much as I can, or if that means doing the combo when I can, that's what I do. And normally, like when we're in a situation where I can really just, the tank can be in control and we can just kind of stand in a circle or stand around each other and do what we need to do, I'll just clip my instant power just about every time, or just about every other weapon hit, if I can do that. This is kind of a unorthodox setup here, because, you know, we've got the two huge DPS and no tank. Healer's doing a great job.
Fool! Brainiac's stolen power will be mine! I will be the master of the Flame of Change.
You will go no further, Circe.
I don't need police lockers.
Quickly, we must break through the rest of Brainiac's defenses. There's still time to stop him from escaping Themyscira with the Flame of Change.
The red
Yeah,
flame
Lewis,
scroll,
definitely with you, man. Appreciate the support for her. She would thank you herself if she were in here. Yeah, a lot of times it's just kind of oh, thanks, man. I'm doing a good job. I appreciate it. I try. I said earlier, I'm not a great, you know, I just like trolling. I like trolling and I like healing. And so, for me, I try to, you know, with Rock, I end up just DPSing all the time, because that's kind of what I built that character for. But most of my other tunes, I like to try and do a support role, because I was actually afraid that maybe they were phasing roles out of the game the way things were going. It was like every time you go into a group, you've got a bunch of DPS, and the way that people were basically treating trolls and healers was like, no wonder they don't want to do it. I wouldn't want to either if I had been dedicating my gameplay to basically helping another person succeed, and then all of a sudden that person turns on me because they're not succeeding anymore. And the only real issue with the reason that they're not succeeding is because they're power hogs. So yeah, it would be frustrating. I can definitely relate. And then of course I've got a mouth on me, so like when all of this starts happening in raids or in missions with her, I jump in and of course I take it upon myself to fight her battles for her, and then she's like, no, just let it go, and I'm like, I can't let it go, I'm a man.
Like I said, you go no further, sorceress.
Oop. Hey, look at that, we finally got a controller. It took us till almost the last boss, but we finally got a piece of controller gear that's helpful, so I'm going to put it on because
at last I
probably need to.
Limitless power.
Yeah, and I don't have any mods on right now. I should have gone through what kind of mods I would use, but obviously mostly just power and vid.
Nothing can stand against me.
As much vid as I can get. As much vid as I can get. Alright, let's get in here before I get locked out. Get in, okay. I don't know if he tries to heal himself or not, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw all the debuffs on him, because if he decides that he's going to heal, I don't want to be the fool that said I didn't need to do it.
Critical damage.
I may be able to get rid of weapon mastery and not have to spend more skill points in, because my power back to myself for my what do you call that? Well, I guess it's not passive power regeneration, is it? When you're doing hybrid, it's pretty good. I'm getting pretty good power back, so I may not need to worry about having that. I could probably just sit here and tap Y. Uh-oh. That can't be good. Quantum tunneling. No, I'm dead. I didn't do it fast enough. That was a case where if I wouldn't have been running my jibs, I should have quantum tunneled and saved myself that disaster. There we go. That's what I should have done. I'm going to do it after the fact now just to demonstrate. I'm going to be like, here's what I should have done in that situation. I'll tell you what else I've been doing a lot of and has been fun recently is Legends PvE. I hit up some Legends PvE over the past couple of days, and it has been super fun. We're going to have to do some streams. Ooh, I kind of do want the Astral Alloy. Dynasty Drum or a Mark of Victory. Oh, this is a hard choice. Oh, that's a head. I don't need that. Okay. Lewis Hunt. That's nice of you defending her, because she deserves it. And I hate when they use power like there's no tomorrow. Yeah, me too. And he says, and honestly, I'm looking at you, everybody. Looking at you, everybody's power. We're up just fine. Thanks, man. I'm doing what I can do, so I appreciate you making me feel good about myself. I feel like a winner now.
The green flame
Oh,
scroll,
and we
page
completed
4.
an investigation.
The green flame also known as the
And I don't even remember what we get from that.
is conducive and aids its keeper in developing
I like playing around in raids like after the fact, taking pictures in places and being like, ooh, what would look good on like a cover photo for this or that video? What can I Photoshop the hell out of and make something interesting with? So that is that. That is actually, I think that might have been this tune's first time. And Lewis said it's okay not to get that headpiece because you can get it by defeating level 56 sub-avatar in South Gotham. I love the sub-avatar. That used to be my favorite thing to do. Every night after work, I'd come home, hit up the sub-avatar, get out my frustrations, and just enjoy the gang beating that it basically was. Because I don't know if you do the same one, but you know, it was people just standing on the rooftops waiting for the thing to generate, and jumping down and doing the little solo stuff before that. It's a good time. If you haven't gone out to South Gotham to experience the sub-avatar, you're missing out. You really need to. It's incredibly fun. And I am getting asked now to go into Wayward Souls. I'm not going to do that because basically the stream's about over. I normally only go for about an hour, so that was all we really wanted to go through, was what it looked like quantum controlling after the stat revamp. And appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Lewis, thanks for joining in the chat, buddy. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you tonight. Casper was in here earlier. Looks like we've got Synthful. What's up, bro? How you doing? And a couple other folks that were in the chat. I'm going to have to start writing it down. Twin Ace was in the chat earlier. Thanks to you for joining us in the stream tonight, buddy. Do not forget, if you guys have not collected that Aquaman bust yet, that is free to all players. You need to go to the game marketplace, go to redeem claims, and get your free Aquaman bust. Be paying attention to Twitter. If you've got Twitter, get it on your phone, your computer, whatever. Follow DC Universe Online. Their handle is @DCUO. You can follow them. Sometime this week, they are going to tweet out the instructions of what you need to do to be entered to win the real-life Aquaman bust, the Jim Lee artwork created bust that DC Comics just came out with. And you'll be able to win that. They will ship it to your door. You will have it in your house. So stay tuned for that. But thank you guys for joining the stream. We'll be back on again live Wednesday night about the same time, about 9 Eastern. And we'll be doing some tanking with Earth. And I'll show you guys at least what my tank loadout looks like. It may not be the best thing, but it's working pretty good for me, and I'm really enjoying using it. In the meantime, this video will be up on YouTube in about an hour. Please give it a share and a like. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. This is our channel dedicated to DC Universe Online and everything DC Comics. And you can help support our growth if you go to patreon.com, www.patreon.com/Var Nation. You can donate as little as $1 a month. Every dime goes into our equipment and keeping the streams going, keeping the videos coming, and doing the best entertaining that we can possibly do for you guys. So until next time, this is Rock Var for Lyda and Bodhi saying, play on. Oh, and Lewis Hunt, no. So you have until the 30th. As long as you log in by the 30th, and you'll be able to get every week's prize that's been given out so far. So you're still good to go. Thanks, man.